LEGO Technic is one of the most beloved LEGO themes ever. Whether you want to build an insane supercar or just a simple tractor, LEGO Technic's got you covered. But the Technic line actually hasn't been around for as long as you might think. In this video, I'll be going over the entire evolution of LEGO Technic. Let's get into it. In case you didn't know, LEGO was founded all the way back in 1932, but the first LEGO set with actual bricks wasn't released until 1949. So the big question here is, when did LEGO Technic make its way into the picture? Well, the answer is 1965. This is the 001 Gears set, and even though nobody knew it at the time, this singular LEGO set was the pioneer for the Technic line as a whole. Now, obviously nowadays the set doesn't look like much, but for 1965 this was a huge deal. It was the first time that LEGO had ever released Gears, so a lot of people were really surprised. Unfortunately though, this didn't help with sales, and the Gears weren't seen much after their initial release. As we know today, a lot of LEGO Technic sets rely on Gears to be built, and sometimes these sets can't even function without them, so they really are super important. After these Gears were released though, it took LEGO a pretty long time to do anything else in the technical category. That was until 1977. That year, LEGO released the first ever technical sets, and yes, that was their actual name. They released a tractor, a car, a helicopter, and a forklift, all of which used pieces that gave the LEGO Technic line its fame. But the pieces weren't the only thing that made people want these LEGO sets. The way that these pieces had to be put together made the building process much more challenging than the traditional brick building process everyone was used to. But for a lot of people, this was exactly what they were looking for, so LEGO had no choice but to keep going. Those 4 sets from before were from 1977, which, considering how big LEGO was at that time, is a very small amount of sets to be made for a whole LEGO theme in just 1 year. In the years after this though, LEGO not only made way more Technic sets each year, but as time went on, they got more and more intricate. 1980 was a huge year for LEGO Technic, and is arguably one of the most important years in the theme's history, and it's for good reason. For the first time, LEGO released a fully buildable and functionable engine, but there's way more to it than that. The instructions showed 4 different ways this engine could be built, and each of them looked completely different. With the 242 pieces, you could build a 3-cylinder inline engine, a V6 engine, a 6-cylinder horizontal engine, and a 2-cycle engine. With all of these options to choose from, people were more enticed to pick up the set for themselves, and I can't say I blame them. To be honest, I'd probably have picked up 4 copies just for myself, so I could have every engine combination. This was all the way back in 1980 though, and the next big milestone wasn't until the year 1982. Funnily enough though, this milestone actually has nothing to do with the sets that were being released, because this is the year that LEGO officially started using the word Technic. Let's just be honest here. Technical sets is an okay name, but Technic just sounds way cooler. Anyways, yes, 1982 is when LEGO first introduced the word Technic, and from then on, every set that used those technical pieces were now under the Technic line. But if you think this is all that happened in 1982, you're completely wrong. LEGO continued releasing more experimental sets, and they just kept on working. People were absolutely loving the Technic line, so it made complete sense for LEGO to keep upping the ante. The whole reason LEGO Technic was even made in the first place was to give LEGO fans a more challenging outlet for their building skills, so it only made sense to make the sets more difficult and have more pieces. But what if I told you that along with adding more pieces, LEGO started adding different ones too? This is the LEGO Technic Universal Motor Set, and it's actually the first official LEGO set that includes a motor. As we know today, motors play a huge role in a bunch of different sets from the Technic line, but this set is the one that started it all. Much like the auto engine from 1980, the Universal Motor Set could be built in multiple different ways. The instructions included steps for a car, a robot, a crane, a helicopter, and a buggy, all of which used the motor. After LEGO released this set, they were able to expand more on the already young Technic line. At that point, Technic had only been around for about 5 years, and not that many sets had been made for it yet, so LEGO had a bunch of different things that they could do with the theme. For some reason though, they still weren't making that many sets for the Technic line. For both 1983 and 1984, LEGO only made 3 sets for the entire year. My guess is that since the Technic pieces hadn't been around very long, there weren't many designers who actually knew how to make sets using the intricate pieces that Technic called for. So as a result, not many were produced. However, that didn't stop them from hitting milestones, because in 1988, the biggest Technic set of the time period was released. And when I say biggest, I literally mean the biggest. This is the LEGO Test Car set, and clocking in at 900 pieces, it was the single biggest LEGO set released under the Technic line at the time. This set was only released 6 years after the motor had been implemented into other sets, but LEGO wasn't cutting any corners during that time. Since it had 900 pieces, this allowed LEGO to add some crazy details. Along with the V4 engine in the back, this set also included double wishbone suspension for all 4 wheels, a 3-speed gearbox, and pop-up headlights. Considering this car is literally only made out of LEGO pieces, there is a lot going on here. I mean, the fact that this car has a functioning gearbox is absolutely insane. It's even more crazy to think about the fact that all of this was done over 35 years ago. Regardless, let's keep it moving and see how the Technic line continues on its path. The next thing I want to show you guys is a set from 1989. This isn't just any regular old LEGO Technic set though. As we all know, most Technic sets are vehicles, but the one I'm going to show you actually isn't. This is the LEGO Technic figure set from 1989. I understand if you're having doubts, but trust me when I say that this set is 100% real. These are some of the first buildable figures that LEGO ever produced, besides the ones from the 60s, of course. The set came with 10 pieces, and with them you can make 3 different figures. This wasn't the first time we'd seen these Technic figures though. They'd also come in a few sets in years prior, like the Snow Scooter and Polar Copter from 1986. Believe it or not, these are actually the only figures that have ever been sold with LEGO Technic sets. Since the idea behind Technic was that it was made for strictly building, I guess LEGO thought it'd be a bad idea to include regular minifigures with the sets. As a result, these Technic figures were used for a little while, but were eventually dropped in 2001. Since then, nobody's really complained about there being a lack of figures, so LEGO didn't really have any reason to add them back or come up with something different. 2001 is a little far ahead on the timeline though. Let's take it back a few years and see what LEGO Technic was getting up to in the 90s. This is when LEGO really started to pick things up. For most of the 80s, LEGO was being pretty conservative, not only with the amount of sets they released for Technic, but they also didn't expand on their ideas as much as they could have. All of that changed in the 1990s though. To start the decade, they released a set called the Control Center, which was way different than anything they had ever released before. Not only did it include the new and improved 9-volt motor system, but it had 2 of them. It also had an electric box called the Control Center, hence the name of the set, that you could actually manually program. This thing was capable of powering 3 different motors on 3 different channels, which was absolutely insane for the time. The Control Center was the first LEGO set that allowed the builder to program the power system for LEGO motors, so you can imagine how excited fans must have been when it came out. Although that was only one of 7 sets released that year, the innovation didn't stop there. In 1991, LEGO continued making all sorts of vehicles, and they even expanded more into motorcycles. That year, they released things like the Shock Cycle set, the Cafe Racer set, the Speedway Bandit set, the Mountain Rambler set, and a couple others. It was clear to see with these sets that LEGO was starting to kick things up a notch. The details were a lot more accurate, pieces were being used more wisely, and overall, the sets just looked better. Even with all of this in mind though, nothing could have prepared you for what LEGO was about to release the next year. Remember when I said that the 90s is when LEGO Technic really started to take off? Well, 1992 is when everything changed. This is the LEGO AirTag Claw Rig set, and coming in at just over 950 pieces, it was the biggest set LEGO had released for Technic since the test car back in 1988. I'm just gonna be honest here, this thing is absolutely insane. Not only does it have the front end of a semi-truck, but the back end literally has an industrial claw machine on the back of it. What more can you ask for from a LEGO set? No, but in all seriousness, this set completely stood out from the rest back in the day. It could be built in 2 different ways, which was pretty common for sets in the Technic line, so that's always a plus. That stuff was all regular at this point though. What really made this set stand out was the fact that it was the first LEGO set to include a motorized pneumatic compressor, or in other words, compressed air. Even crazier than that though is that this is literally the only time LEGO has ever done this, meaning this set is the only one in existence with a motorized air compressor. Pretty cool if you ask me. LEGO continued to up the ante like this all throughout the rest of the 90s. In fact, in 1993, they started making what they call multi-mode sets, which are basically just sets with a decently low piece count that can be made into 4 different vehicles. The next year in 1994, they released the first official supercar under the Technic line, which as we know today, supercars are some of the most sought after sets in all of LEGO, let alone the Technic line, so that's definitely an important milestone. To be honest though, I'm not exactly sure what type of supercar this is. Maybe they just used the name to try and get people to buy it. Needless to say though, they made up for it in 1995, because they released one of the coolest sets the Technic line has ever seen. This is the LEGO Control Center 2 set, a new and improved version of the original Control Center set from 1990, but this one was way better. Instead of being able to control a pen like before, the Control Center 2 set allowed you to control an actual build, and you had 3 different options to choose from: a helicopter, a dinosaur, and a boat. Once you built your model of choice and hooked everything up to the Control Center, you had full control of whatever you decided to build. This set is by far one of the coolest Technic sets of the 1990s, and in terms of innovation, this is about as far as they got. LEGO continued to make bigger and more detailed sets, but the 2000s is when they decided to start making more progress. What I'm talking about here is Bionicle. Starting in 2001, LEGO Bionicle quickly became one of the most famous LEGO themes at the time. Unlike the already famous Technic line, Bionicle actually only consisted of figures, not vehicles. I'm sure many of you watching had your own Bionicle set, and if not, you've at least heard of it. Bionicle was basically impossible to miss in the early 2000s. I mean, it literally had a TV show on Cartoon Network. Getting back to the sets though, there's one in particular I want to show you from the year 2000. This is the first official Formula 1 LEGO set, known as the Silver Champion. This is what I meant before when I said that LEGO started making more progress in the 2000s. I mean, just look at this thing. It comes with 1,431 pieces, and it looks identical to an actual Formula 1 race car. It didn't just look like one though, it moved like one too. The piston engine actually moves once the wheels start turning. Oh, and speaking of the wheels, you can turn those. Yeah, you can literally steer this thing. By the year 2000, having steerable wheels was nothing new for a set under the Technic line, but it's still a sick detail. From there on out, LEGO Technic went on to make some of the most insane sets we've ever seen. So instead of going into super deep detail like I have been, instead I'll just show off what LEGO's been able to do in the past 24 years. In 2007, LEGO took a huge step up from what they had been making before. The sets in the years prior were cool and all, but they have nothing on the sets I'm about to show you now. This motorized bulldozer, combine harvester, and off-road truck were all released in 2007. And I'll just be the one to say it, these sets are insane. The attention to detail here was nothing like we'd ever seen at the time, and with that came some pretty high piece counts. The motorized bulldozer alone had over 1,300 pieces, and the other two sets had just around 1,000 all for themselves. This may not sound like a lot, but keep in mind that some of these Technic pieces are super tiny, so putting them all together takes way more time than regular bricks. Moving on from those though, we got this massive mobile crane in 2010, this extreme cruiser in 2011, and this insane 4x4 crawler in 2012. Keep in mind that all of this progress is being made over the course of just a couple years, which really isn't a lot of time when it comes to architecture and engineering. Okay, those last sets are pretty cool, but to save you some boredom, I'm gonna skip a few years and show you what type of Technic sets have been made in the last 10 years. Get ready, because these guys are nuts. The amount of bangers they had in 2015 was honestly just uncalled for. Check out this 24 hours race car set. Even though it's only made up of 1,219 pieces, it has all the functions of the Technic cars of today. Considering this set was released 9 years ago, I'd say that's pretty impressive. The next year though, they got even better. In 2016, LEGO dropped the very first LEGO Porsche 911 GT3 RS. Today, this set is a staple of the Technic line, and literally everyone wishes they could have it. It doesn't end there though. In 2017, they released this crazy LEGO Air Race jet, which looks literally just like a fighter jet. Insane. Alright, so at this point, we've seen how far LEGO has taken the Technic line since its birth in 1977. But to end the video, there's one last set that I want to talk about. This is the LEGO Bell Boeing V-22 Osprey, and it's known as one of the rarest and most controversial LEGO sets to date. Back in 2020, this thing was teased by LEGO all over social media. The fans went crazy when they saw it, so LEGO decided to release it that same year. At least that's what they thought was going to happen. The Osprey never actually hit the shelves, and as a result, it's one of the rarest and most unobtainable LEGO sets to ever exist. The only way you could have gotten one is if you had some shady backdoor connection to a LEGO manufacturer and were able to convince them to give you one before they were banned. The reason behind this ban is what makes it so controversial though. According to the internet, this plane was only used by the military, and that's something that LEGO said they aren't comfortable with. According to LEGO, they never want to distribute a vehicle of any kind that's actively being used by any military. So as a result, the Osprey was pulled from production. When people heard this though, a lot of them had the same question. If your policy is to never produce anything that's used by the military, then why was this set made in the first place? Unfortunately, we never got an answer to that question, so the Osprey story ended there. This is by far one of the most important parts of LEGO Technic's history, so I had to include it in the video. What was your favorite LEGO Technic era? Be sure to let me know down in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.